With us, we have the president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, the Reverend Al Sharpton. He's here, we swear. Several correspondent at Vanity Fair and host of the Fast Politics podcast, Molly Jong Fast, co-founder and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader, and Politics Bureau Chief and Senior Political Columnist at Politico, Jonathan Martin. Great group, guys. The Democratic Party faces a voter registration crisis. That's the new headline from the New York Times, with plenty of data to back it up. We briefly touched on this yesterday. We're going to dive in deeper now. The paper reports that of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in every single one between the 2020 and 2024 elections, and often by a lot. That four-year swing toward the Republicans adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb out from. And Lauren, this is a worry for Democrats who, of course, lose in the 2024 elections. The voter registration numbers probably played a role. Still struggling with party identity right now. Maybe have done better about coalescing an anti-Trump argument, but still struggling to come forward with a pro-Democratic Party argument. And we're seeing here, the numbers are the numbers. People don't like what they're hearing.
Yeah, look, we've been seeing this coming. This has been a Mack truck coming down the highway for a number of years. And for those of us who do a lot of the work on the ground in states around the country, you saw this happening. And it's a combination of things. One is the Democratic registration advantage, which has eroded, a significant increase in the number of Americans across the country who are registering as independents or unaffiliated where they have that option. So keep in mind, not every state requires that you register for a party, but so there's been a real shift in that direction. If you don't have partisan primaries, people are more likely to register as independents because it doesn't matter what, they can still vote in a primary. And then the third piece, which is that Republicans caught on in 2020 to the Democratic ground game advantage on registration and pushed hard. And we knew that this was happening. The malpractice on the part of the Democratic Party is continuing to try to convince Americans to be partisan in ways that they are not. And what a lot of the grassroots organizations like mine and others have been trying to do is to focus on issues, to focus on put the brand aside. The brand is broken. There's a Wall Street Journal poll too this week that showed the lowest approval rating for the Democratic brand in decades. That's not the way to win. And Democrats need to figure that out. Where Democrats outperformed in 24 is where they ran very close to the ground on the issues and not on the party. And that's in those Senate races in Michigan, in Nevada, elsewhere. So there's a blaring sign here that says there's a very clear path. And it's not about doubling down on trying to fix the brand. Forget it. Move on. Do the work. Talk about the issues.
I'm wondering, as you look at this, I see that these voter numbers are going, the registration numbers are down. Do you think, I've seen polls that have sort of pulled out and said they're mad at the brand because of but they still like it better than Trump. Do you think that's true, or do you think that's not true?
Well, I mean, Democrats lost, both the popular vote and the Electoral College in 24, so it's hard to see that. I think part of the issue is that there's very different local dynamics than national dynamics. People respond very much to candidates and not to party. And that's been shifting for a while, right? That's how you saw, centrist candidates in New York, on Long Island, in Michigan with the Senate races, in Nevada and Arizona, Democrats that massively outperformed Harris. And it's because they ran on what mattered to their people. And I think that's the lesson to take away, which is forget about just going after party ID. This idea of basic loyalty is eroded. You've got to do it on what people care about, the economy, et cetera. And that's where Democrats are winning, even despite the brand issues.
So let's talk about returning to Washington, D.C. now, our top story this morning.
Can I ask about this?
Yeah,
I'm going to because I've been sitting here for 10 minutes just waiting to get into the conversation.
You're so quiet,
We ignored you.
I just snuck in. I'm sorry. I always think it is fantastic. I think it's so funny, and I don't know if you all have been saying this over the past 10 minutes. Let me know. But everybody looks at 24, and it's like, oh, the end of the Democratic Party. Oh, they got crushed in swing states. Oh, this is the age of Joe Rogan. Let's see. We had a Hispanic win in Nevada Senate. We had a Hispanic, progressive Hispanic win in Arizona, a guy that is way more progressive than the mean voter using it, the average voter in Arizona. Of course, there's not an average voter in Arizona. They're all extraordinary. Then you go up to Wisconsin.
Michigan.
We had a lesbian win in Wisconsin. We had a woman win in Michigan. The only place Democrats didn't win in a swing state was in Pennsylvania, and they ran up against a really strong candidate who knew the state. So how is that, if you're winning every swing state that matters in the Senate, how is that a horrific year for you?
And also, that candidate in Pennsylvania, the Senate candidate, was a very, very centrist candidate. He just was not super charismatic.
Right.
And I think there's a case that, it's much more about running charismatic candidates who speak to voters than it is necessarily about their exact sort of left.
I mean, Sherrod Brown seems to be getting that message, right? He's talking about coming back into the race. I mean,
Right.
I think that's the big opportunity. I mean, look, when you look at Alyssa Slotkin's race, and I was just saying about the races on the House races on Long Island, like these were ultra local, super focused candidates who understood their people in their districts better than anyone else and are like real quality candidates. And like even in the last cycle, when Republicans run really like wackadoodle out there, crazy candidates, Georgia, anyone, they lose. So this is the opportunity. The brand, I feel like Donnie Deutsch should be here. Donnie, I can hear him in my head.
Yeah.
The brand is bad. The candidates are good. Like, let's stop arguing about it and just keep running amazing candidates and lean into the good people who understand their districts and understand how to win.
Well, J. Mart, that's what really matters at the end of the day. It's the candidates and how connected are the candidates actually to their voters. And you have somebody like, I said, I talked about lesbian won in Wisconsin.
Yes.
I guarantee you, if you talk to voters in Wisconsin, like that's not the first of 5 words Wisconsin voters would use to talk about Tammy Baldwin.
Yeah.
She's one of them.
Totally.
She's from Wisconsin. She knows Wisconsin. I'm just saying, it's weird that Republicans have actually, we always criticized the Democratic Party for balkanizing, right? And now it's the Republican Party that is balkanizing America. Us versus them. And they're Balkan. And so that's what I'm saying. You get somebody that knows, like Arizona.
Yeah.
They're looking at Ruben Gallego and they're not going, oh, he's a progressive. Oh, he's a Hispanic. Oh. It's like, hey, that guy, he gets us. Tammy Baldwin, it's like, oh, she's a progressive. Oh, she's like, no, it's like, she's one of us. She gets us. She cares about how my family's doing. That's, at the end of the day, what matters. And so maybe the whole big brand thing does not matter. What does matter, though, is voter registration, like has from 20 to 24 really been moving away from Democrats. I suspect, though, that's not going to help Republicans this fall in New Jersey or Virginia or next year in the midterms if Democrats do their job.
Yeah, I think you raise an important point that there are structural challenges Democrats have. Shane's piece in the Times today is really well turned about just the profound, problems Democrats have with their brand generically in terms of the voter reg differences. But, Joe, at the risk of a lot of our Democratic operative friends losing a nice payday, because there is so much damn money being spent right now on focus groups and polling and research about how do we appeal to the Rogan demographic. We need $10 more million, folks, and we'll get to... So at the risk of those folks losing their paydays, sorry, fellas, it's not brain surgery, all right? You get a good, compelling candidate with a good, compelling message running against a weakened opposition, man. That's the formula for time immemorial. It's not that complicated. The other guys screw up, overreach, what have you. You find a compelling candidate with a strong message and you'll win. That's been the story in American politics for decades.
I saw an ad, Rev, yesterday. Forgive me. I will get. Maybe you all know his name, but I saw an ad out of Maine. Guy who is challenging Susan Collins, and I just stopped. I was like, "Whoa, that's one of the most effective ads I have seen in a long time," and that's a Democrat who's being himself, but also is very clearly saying, no, 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 the flag's not your symbol. No, no, no. A hardworking dude in a black T-shirt is not just, you know, your symbol. Like, there are a lot of hardworking people out here who think you all are acting crazy right now. And it's really, it's the authenticity, and it's something you and I talked about too. You can have all the focus groups you want. You walk into a room, you either know people in that room either know you're one of them or you're not. And you see that every time you go to preach, and politicians see that every time they go into a room.
And the problem is you have so many politicians that don't see that in the room. They walk in a room and they're listening to their advisors, who, as Jonathan correctly says, being well paid to stay well paid and not trying to really get them elected. And you've got to develop a reason that people that are not registered, when we talk about voter registration, well, why aren't people registered? You have to address why I'm not voting. Give me a reason. The reason isn't your brand, because that doesn't work for me. Otherwise, I'd be a registered voter already. Why should I register? Are you standing up for me? Do you understand what I want done?
Right.
That's how we've seen voter registration drives work historically.
I will tell you, and it's all, are they one of us? And I will say it again. We had a focus group here when Heilman and Halpern were at Bloomberg. They had a focus group of these working class voters. There was a woman who did not look anything like anybody that Donald Trump had ever been around in his clubs or anywhere else. And she said, he's one of us.
Yeah.
He understands us. And that, at the end of the day, that's what wins elections.
Can I throw in a really interesting new study? So Emily's List just did this deep dive on how, especially women voters, who we know, obviously, majority of the electorate turn out more than any other voters, how they respond, like, emotionally to candidates. And what they found is that the women candidates, where they run, they do such an incredible job of, like, linking to the pain points in those communities, right? Especially on economic issues, which we're now seeing, you know, the impact of tariffs, as I've said here before, will disproportionately impact women. It is already starting to, especially Black and Brown community, women in the Black and Brown community. Right. Those candidates, like Tammy, like Alyssa, they are better at this. So, I mean, that's part of it, as you say, being one of us. But what I keep seeing is that the women candidates, especially, many of whom outperformed, they're so good at, like, connecting with people on those kitchen table issues, which we know the 26th election is going to be about.
And I don't know why she didn't, but these other candidates did. Kamala didn't. Yeah. For some reason, you just look at the numbers, and you had these Senate candidates that outperformed her. And that's just sort of the walking into the room. Either they think, hey, you get it, or you don't. I mean, I don't have the answer to that, but that makes a big difference on who wins and who doesn't.
And the candidate you mentioned in Maine, Graham Plattner, is, and I'll just read his bio here on his X site, combat veteran, friend of the working Mainer, foe of the oligarchy. That is who's taking on Susan Collins.
Hey, Alex, let's pull up this commercial. We showed a commercial a couple of years ago of John Fetterman. At the close of the campaign, he was outside and it was raining, and he was talking about his health problems, and he's like, we all get knocked. It's like one of the most powerful commercials I've seen. This is a really powerful commercial. We're going to show you on the other side.
Find it on the other side of the break. CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader. Lauren, thank you as always.
Thank you, Lauren.
Also coming up.